Hey everybody!
Hi,
I could
everyone.
see great. I could see there are a lot of people in the chat already, but just to double check and make sure we could be heard. If you could hear us and see us okay, please type llama in the chat. Thank you so much, Alan. Kathy has a nice weather over there. Mercedes, so excited. Beth, um, Karen is the first commenter. Kathy says llama. Great. How is it where you're at? Um, how about you, Zan? How is it where you're at?
Well, we're waiting for the storm to come. That storm that just hit Winnipeg is coming our way. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty
Oh,
bad for the next couple of days here, but it'll be
yeah.
okay.
Hope
Hi,
you
everyone.
guys will be okay. Lot of people in the chat. Kitty says hi, Zan. Hi, Kitty.
Hey,
Hi,
Kitty.
Susan. All right, so I think we could begin. So, hello, everybody. Again, welcome to another 30-minute demo with Etcher. My name is Kathleen. I'll be your studio host for today, and your wonderful teacher for today will be Zan Barrage. And together, you guys will do some bold colors courageously. Um, so, a few reminders if you have any questions for Zan, just go ahead and type them in all caps, just like this. Um, and we have a private Facebook group. Which is inclusive for any art styles, and Zan is also part of that group. So if you will be following along today, you could post your work on that group. So I will drop that link here. And speaking of chat, keep an eye on the chat because I'll be dropping lots of links, including Zan's 90-minute class, which will be on February 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But I'll let Zan go ahead and discuss that further later on. So, without further ado, Zan, why not introduce yourself and show us a couple of your works and get us started?
Okay. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Good morning, everyone, or good day. It is noon. It's past noon here, so good afternoon. Um, my name is Zan Barrage. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope you enjoy this quick demo that I'll be doing. I've been painting in watercolors for about 30 years now, and teaching for about 10. I hope to bring you some interesting ideas and concepts and also methods as well. So my approach is bold in terms of color. I understand my tools very well. I make my own colors. I make my own brushes. So in a way, I'm in touch with the tools as much as possible, and it helps me understand how to play with the colors as well. Um, so for the coming 90-minute class, uh, Kathleen is going to show you a couple of images of pictures that are paintings that I've done that will be similar to the ones that to the one that I will do as a class. Do you want to show them? Yeah, there you go. So there's one of them, and there's the other one coming up. And basically, with both of these, what you're seeing is depth of color. I'm hoping you see that, and layering multiple layers of color that I go ahead and build up so that I can get that richness. Unfortunately, today we can't really do that with the picture that we're going to be painting because it takes a bit of time for these layers to sort of dry in place and build up. But for today, what I have in mind is to take the picture that is going to come up next and um, and riff off of it. So I'm not going to paint this picture as it is at all. What I'm interested in this picture is the colors and the dramatic shifts in values. So that's what I'm going to take from that, and I'm going to go ahead and change that from a lake into a snow scene, similar to the one that was in the introduction that you just saw. I'm going to shift my camera now to the the
Yeah.
view. Here we go. Let's hope it works. Yes, it does. Excellent. So I do minimal drawing when I paint, and that's because there's a tendency when you draw too much, when you do too detailed a drawing, there's a tendency to become to essentially start coloring instead of painting. So what I want to do, and I'm thinking this is upside down for now because I'm starting with the sky, is I want to just build a horizon line and understand where my horizon is so that I can go from there. And nothing else really. I don't want anything else beyond that. Um, if anything, I just want a few diagonals, um, just so that I understand where that is coming from. And we'll start with a deep, rich violet color. It's a burnt ultramarine color that I make, and I hope you like it. Um, so I'm going to start there and build up from here with the idea that I want my clouds and my sky to sort of move in and give me depth in the painting. So I want to see a bit of depth, and the way to do that is with those diagonals, because those diagonals create perspective in your sky, and that's what I want to see there. So the more diagonals that I have, the more these it's I call them diagonals. They're really not. They're more fan shaped than diagonal. And once I'm
Then,
doing that, yeah, there's a
before
question.
we can proceed, can we speak just a little louder or maybe closer to the microphone, just so everyone may be able to hear you clearly?
Okay, no problem. Is
Awesome.
that better?
Yeah, let us know in the chat if that's better. Yeah, but in the meantime, go ahead, Zan.
Okay. So I'm just building up my clouds this way. And now that I turn it over, I'm hoping you can see it again. There we go. And again, I want to do some layering like this so that I have, and now I want to shift colors. So I'm going now to an Indian yellow and trying to be as bold as possible with the first layer. So really just going in and picking up as much color as I can into my brush so that I can build up a nice feel here with this. And now I'm going to shift again from the Indian yellow to a color called Benzenida Orange Deep. It's a color that is a very warm, burnt orange, and it's one that I make myself, but also Da Vinci paints make this beautiful color. And just want to take a different brush now and go back to my Indian yellow and try to drop in a bit of that into the clouds up here.
And then, while you were in the topic of paints,
Yes.
we've got an interesting question earlier from Sarika. Let's see. Do watercolors fade over time? And if so, is there a way to prevent this?
Um, not necessarily watercolors, but all colors fade over time in the sense that there's these pigments lose their intensity over time. And the way to prevent that, I mean, there's several ways. For watercolors, an easy way to prevent that um, is to put them under UV glass, and that usually helps a lot. Um, but even oils will fade, so it's not necessary. It's not limited to watercolors alone. Uh, that's a problem for all paints.
Oh,
But
and yeah, go ahead.
putting them under UV glass is probably the best way to go. Was
Awesome.
there another question?
Yeah, great observation actually from Sherry. I wonder why the Indian yellow isn't turning green over the blue.
Because I'm not agitating it. So this is one of those things that I teach my students is if you lay color where it's supposed to be, and you don't pet it, you don't keep going and petting the color, it won't mix and become dull. What it'll do is it'll actually um, become there is, I mean, there's some mixing happening, but the mixing is not a dulling down or a greening of the color. It's sort of both colors are still there um, in their nature, but you can see there's a bit of blue coming down in here into the yellow, and where I put the yellow up there, it's still alive and working. So yeah, a good observation, but that's the issue there. Now, what I'm doing back here is I'm letting the I'm sort of dropping in color and letting it sort of explode into uh, the wet paint up there. And what I want to do is I want to have a few layers of that, if possible. So you can see there that it's a bit dull, and I want it that way because I want to be able to come in front of it like this and put another layer that is a bit darker. And go back into the paint and pick up some more. I'm using a brush that I make. I call it the Z brush, and it's sort of a cross between a round brush and a rigger. It's a very long tip, very sharp point to it, and I love that because it allows me to um, go in where I want to and do the layering that I want to do. I'm going to go back down in here now into my snow area, and I'm leaving a few light areas like that, and I'm going to use those eventually for whatever comes to mind, houses or things like that.
And
And
Zan, just a quick check. Sorry for interrupting, but what color is this that you're using at the moment?
it's a sort of a violet. It's an ultramarine violet, a burnt ultramarine, I guess is what you would call it. Let me just show it to you. Um, so it's
Wow.
okay.
So
It's a sort of I make it myself because I like to have very intense colors, and I think if you make your own colors, you get the type of intensity that no color maker is going to put into their colors because it's not economical to put this much pigment. So I tend to have a lot of pigment in my in my in my paints.
which shows, yeah.
Now, anytime that I'm doing something like this, it's very important to have, if you want to build depth into your painting, just make sure that there are vanishing points, there's a diagonal, there's a way that the eye can move um, into the painting and feel depth. And I tend to do that with the idea of a fan shape. So if you look at if it's somewhere a vanishing point out this way somewhere, all of this is fanning out this way. You can see that right from the sky down to the stuff down here. Everything is in a fan shape. And we'll just do a few elements like this, close it out. And then what I want to do is start taking some of that stuff and just spreading it out a bit. And I do that because what happens is if you have elements in a painting where both sides are hard edged, they feel like they're floating outside the painting. When you turn one of the edges down into a soft edge like this, it just feels like it anchors these elements into the picture. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is to anchor these, whatever they are, fences or edges of the road or something like that, anchor them into the painting so that I can get that feeling of stability over here at least. And I do like splattering, so I'm going to splatter a bit. I'm not hiding this from you. I just don't want it to splatter everywhere. How are we doing on time?
You have a lot of time, and I think people would love to see just you doing your stuff. So you're good.
I'm good. Okay. So, by the way, it's important that when you look at a painting, the 1 inch around the edge should be not important. It shouldn't attract attention. So I don't want attention to be attracted to this corner here. So what I'm doing is I'm reducing the stuff down there, and which basically the eye looks here and goes, okay, there's nothing for me to look at here, and keeps going. That's exactly what I want to see there. Now most of this is still wet, and I can go in with with a credit card or with um, a knife or something like that, and just go in and do some shaping. Well, it's not wet enough.
Oh, and there's this nice comment in a chat from Kitty saying the shapes on the snow are very much like Japanese or Chinese calligraphy.
Oh, these shapes here. Yes, yes, very much so. Um, I actually, a long time ago, I took a sumi painting class very early on, and I'm happy to say that I'm influenced by the strokes um, that I learned from those classes. It's amazing. So I'm trying to create some feeling of stuff in the back there. I don't want to detail it. I'm not interested in spelling it out. I think if I do enough hints, the viewer can fill in the details themselves in what they see. And I think that's a better method, because ultimately, if understand that, for me at least, my understanding is that a painting is a dialogue between the viewer and the artist. So the artist is making a statement, the viewer is engaging with that statement. And if we allow the viewer to have more say in what's in the painting by allowing them to see more and to try to make out what's in there. Um, that gets them engaged. That gets them actually involved in the painting, and it gets them to the point where they become invested in it. It's pretty important to get them invested, because if they do, they might take the painting home with them. Um, if they don't, if they, it's just a pretty picture for them. They'll look at it, they'll compliment you, and they'll move on. But the idea is we do want them to take this picture home with them eventually. Um, what else do I want to add here? I'm just going to wait for this to dry a bit.
Yeah.
And I do want to add a couple of figures in here somewhere, and maybe a line. Let's do the line first.
I just love how those colors are blending in together, like in the background. It looks like fire, but at the same time contrasted by the blue. Like just a lovely choice of colors there.
It's always It's always fun to use complementary colors,
Yeah.
um, because they really work very well together. Um, if you allow them to.
Oh, and Zan, what is this tool that you're using at the moment?
It's a tiny little brush. It's just
Okay.
a few hairs. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a
Yeah,
few hairs, and it's just great for doing those telephone lines
it is
or
interesting.
branches or things like that. Like if you want to do a little plant. It doesn't hold a lot of water, of course, because it's so little. But yeah, I prefer using this one though for most of my stuff. It's also interesting when you're doing something like this, and there's a lot of layers that are horizontal or diagonal like this. It's always interesting to do one or two what I call toothpicks that hold the painting together like this. So this it's not going to be, I'm not going to make this into too much of a tree. This is basically all I'm doing to it. But what it does is it holds all of these together. It's like that toothpick that you put into a sandwich to hold it all together. And that's essentially what we're doing here. Is we're sort of putting this in place so that it holds all of the elements in together. Um,
I think it's turning out so great. It's taking shape at the moment.
yeah.
And those bleeding, I don't know if that was intentional, created the shape of trees.
Yes. Yeah. Those
Yeah.
those bleedings are essentially there for that
Gosh.
purpose. Now I am going to go in and do one more thing, just to bring out uh, some more elements. I'm using. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. It's liquid watercolor. It's Hydrus from Dr. P.H. Martin's. Um, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find it somewhere. And essentially, what I'm going to do is, once I get it running, I'm going to pick up some of that on my brush and just go in here and where I need it, just tap in some more, some white again, where I feel I've lost it. Using white is not a bad thing as long as you don't overdo it. But if you really don't want to use the white, then what I would suggest is wait for this to dry up a bit and use an X-Acto knife to um, to to do the same thing, basically.
I think That's great. And somebody agrees, they love the toothpick theory. So Zan has made like a wonderful, stunning piece, um, in just, I don't know, less than 20 minutes. And imagine what you guys can do like in the 90-minute class. So that looks just amazing. Are you going to be doing a different kind of landscape? Maybe what are you aiming for, like, or what are the techniques
For
you'll be expanding on? Yeah.
in the next class.
Yeah. Mhm.
Basically, what I'm looking at is doing more of a lake view with maybe a sunset as well, but a lake view with trees, evergreen trees, and reflections in the water. Um, Lots of elements like that in play. So a bit different than this. This is very quick and you know um, something that I needed to be um, rather quick so that we can finish within the allotted time. But that one will be a bit more intricate, a bit more detailed, with the idea of understanding also how to make sure that the colors don't fade out. So if you look at watercolor in general, what happens is when you do a wash in watercolor, while it's wet, it's very rich, and then as it dries, it sort of fades out, right? It becomes a more faded. The color is not as strong and vivid. I'm going to show you one of my mm, sort of, let's call it mystery or technique that shows you um, how to achieve richness in color, and how to understand what's happening with the paper, and at the same time working it through. So that'll be in the 90-minute class, hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah. And somebody just wants to let you know that they love your painting. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of figures here. I love adding figures into my paintings. I think they change the whole setup of a piece when you add them. Um, so let's go ahead and put a figure here. I'll talk about figures as well in the 90-minute class. But essentially, when you're looking at figures, just make sure that your heads are not too big and they're not too round. A lot of people tend to make the head um, round instead of a rectangle, or egg-shaped. We don't have round heads unless you're wearing a helmet. Uh, we don't have round heads. We have more of a head that looks like this, and shoulders are usually drooping downwards like this. Um, Again, most people um, paint figures as if they were back in the 80s where we used to wear those epaulets. Remember those?
Yeah. Okay. Um,
There we go. Yeah. Was there another question?
yeah, just a pretty curious question from
Yeah.
Clarice. Your style reminds her of an artist named Javid or Javid Dabatabay. I don't know um if I pronounce it correctly or if that rings a bell, but are you guys related somehow, or
I don't know who that is.
have you crossed it? Gotcha. All right, well that clears up then. Um,
I have no idea who that is. Um, I've been doing this for a very long time, so I'm
yeah.
hoping that a lot of people will um, eventually um, like the style and use it.
Mhm. Yeah, and you could go ahead and look up more of Zan's work on his Instagram account just to get you guys familiarized more about his style. And you will definitely learn more with Zan on his 90-minute class. Kitty says flashbacks because of your comment earlier, but yeah. Um,
Flashbacks?
oh, I think that was for your comment earlier, so. Um, all right, Barbara says brilliantly bright. Amazing. Maybe I could go ahead and talk a little bit about
Okay.
of your 90-minute class. So, if you're interested to join Zan's 90-minute class, that's going to be an in-depth discussion about what Zan is teaching today, like what he mentioned earlier, and also for our newcomers. That's gonna be a step-by-step process, so you guys could definitely follow along. And that's again gonna be on February 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And apologies in advance because we'll go ahead and edit our page because that says 26th, but no worries, that's still gonna be on the 24th, so that's final. Um, Okay, and one last question from Gikonia. How do you know how big to make the figures? Is that just like experience?
I mean, you could make them any size. I was just looking at this, thinking I want this to be uphill a bit. So by making the heads here as opposed to up here, it makes us feel like this is going uphill. The figures in many ways dictate the painting. So when you put a figure in, it gives you scale. That's one of the reasons why we put figures in, and usually horizon lines are at the eye level of the individual, or the individuals down here. So this would be their horizon. But since this hill, there's a hill going up this way, obviously this is higher than that. So that's the only way that I think of that. You could make them very small and further away, or very big and closer to us. And I could, if I made the heads up here and the bodies down here, and then that would feel more like a horizontal, a straight across as opposed to uphill.
Great.
Yeah,
So if you guys like what you are watching at the moment, and
just going to
wow,
bring
those
this
lovely colors.
closer so you guys can see all the details that have built up.
Thank you so much for panning that over. Great. So if you love what you're seeing, let us know through our feedback survey. I've just dropped that link in the chat. Let us know how you love Zan teaching today, how you love this painting, how he came up with this in less than 30 minutes, half an hour. Um, if you want to make something like this, go ahead and join him on February 24th. Great. Beautiful and inspirational, exceptional colors.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. I think we are done. Do you think you would be peeling the tape off, Zan? Or
Sure, I could do that. I prefer not to. Actually, I'll
oh,
tell you.
okay.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I know there's sort of a kind of a reveal that happens when you take out the tape. What I would encourage you is not to take out the tape for a day, because what happens is the paper is still drying, right? So as it dries, if the tape is not there, it's going to dry with a buckle.
Oh,
If you leave the tape in place, what will happen is it will dry, and the tape will pull at the edges, and it will become a straight line again. I could do this so that you can see the painting framed in a way. Is that better?
yeah, yeah. No worries. We were just wondering if that was part of the experience, but I guess. Um, you guys will have to reserve more of those surprises in the 90-minute class then. So,
I'll go
um,
ahead and post a picture of this on my Instagram
awesome.
when it's revealed.
Oh, great, great. I think people would love to see that. Zan is also part of our private Facebook group. So if you would be posting your works there, Zan would love to see them. Um, okay, I think we've got a couple of questions to ask. So, Zan, are you ready for in answering these questions?
Yes, please.
Great. Linda mentioned, would you think of darkening any parts of the sky, like for this piece? Do you think that's something you would consider?
Yes. If I had more time and if I was doing this, not as a quick painting, I probably want the area up here to be much darker, with touches of yellow in it, so that it's much more dramatic. It sort of um, it weighs down a bit more on the picture. Right now, it's not as deep as I would like it to be, as or as rich as I would like it to be. But I don't have time to let it dry and then build up and let it dry. So that'll happen in the 90-minute class.
Great, that's good to know. And before I could proceed with more questions, somebody's asking what time zone are we in? Like, are you in rather?
I am in Toronto, so I'm in the Eastern Time Zone.
Great, awesome. Okay, and we've got, I think there is just one more question I've missed, but let me know if I've missed any of your questions, but I think we've answered most of them.
Let me
Somebody's
just
asked, go ahead.
let me just show this because a lot of people ask about my palette, and here's what it looks like.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Sorry, you were asking.
Yeah, somebody was asking about how you make your brushes and on Instagram, and I think you might be interested to find the answers on your Instagram account, Zan. Is that right?
Yeah. So you can definitely take a look there for them. These are the brushes that I make. Um, so you can see the point on them. It's very very sharp.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah. Yeah. You can see the details on Instagram. There's a video.
That is amazing. I will be dropping that Zan's Instagram account shortly. But since we are done, Zan, can we have your face back so that we
Oh,
could also see you? Um,
here's me.
awesome. No worries then. Okay, so that's the master behind the wonderful piece that you just saw. So, we've got, I think that's it from our people right here. If you guys have any questions, specific questions for Zan, you could go ahead and ask him on his Instagram account. I'll be dropping that link shortly. And also, if you like today's demo, please click the like button below. Let us know how we did today through our feedback survey, which I'll be dropping right now. If you just love how Zan made his wonderful painting, go ahead and let us know. Or if you want Zan to teach more in the future, please let us know as well. Um, and I think that's pretty much it for us. So thank you so much, everybody, for being such an enthusiastic audience. Um, and Etcher we do these classes a couple of times a week, so you might want to subscribe to our channel to make sure you are alerted when we do our live sessions. And Etcher has a Make More Art podcast, which features some of our artists. So you might want to listen to that while you are painting along with Zan. Um, all right. So if you have any final questions, go ahead and let us know. But if not, go ahead and just message them on Instagram with Zan. So, Zan, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I just want to thank everybody who came today. I hope you enjoyed this quick demo, and I hope to see you in the future. Please follow me on Instagram, and let's chat if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about. I'm very happy to engage and communicate with you. Um, Thank you all.
That's amazing. Yeah, and thank you so much as well, Zan, for that, showing us your wonderful technique and showing your amazing skill. We definitely love to see more of you. So if you love to join him, we've got his 90-minute class again. That's on February 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So just follow the link I've dropped in the chat. And thank you, everybody, for being so enthusiastic in the chat as well. Such a lovely audience. And until next time, make more art, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye. Take care.
Zan, can we switch the camera to our workspace? Awesome.